The morning sky over New York blazed with unusual colors. What started as a normal Tuesday in October turned into humanity's most important day. Strange lights appeared in the sky, forming patterns that no human aircraft could make. The world watched, phones pointed upward, as massive ships emerged from the clouds. General Tom Anderson stood in the Pentagon's command center, his eyes fixed on the main screen. Dozens of unknown vessels had appeared in Earth's orbit, their metal hulls reflecting sunlight like artificial stars. The room buzzed with nervous energy as military personnel rushed between stations. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," announced Lieutenant Reed, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "It's being broadcast on all frequencies." The message that played through the speakers changed everything. A cold, emotionless voice spoke in perfect English. "Attention, inhabitants of Earth. We represent the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized space. Your species has been classified as a pest-level threat due to your unprecedentedly rapid technological advancement. For the safety of the galaxy, you must be contained." Before anyone could react, the first attack came. The aliens' energy weapons cut through Earth's satellite network like paper. GPS systems went dark. Communications crashed. The internet fragmented. In the command center, screens flickered with static as their military satellites were destroyed one by one. "Get the president to the bunker," Anderson shouted, but his words were drowned out by the sound of distant explosions. The aliens had started their ground assault. Major cities worldwide became targets. The aliens didn't use nuclear weapons. They had something worse. Their ships fired beams that turned skyscrapers into dust. Streets melted. Cars floated into the air before being crushed by invisible forces. Panic spread across the globe as millions fled the cities. But humanity wasn't helpless. Years of preparing for possible alien contact had left Earth with some defenses. Underground military bases activated their experimental weapon systems. Air forces worldwide scrambled their jets. Navy vessels emerged from hidden underwater bases. In the skies over London, British and American fighters engaged the alien ships. While most human weapons bounced off their shields, a few got through. An alien vessel crashed into the Thames, proving they weren't invincible. Similar scenes played out over Moscow, Beijing, and Delhi as Earth's military forces fought back with desperate courage. The aliens hadn't expected such resistance. They had dealt with many young species before, but humans proved different. Despite their technological disadvantage, Earth's armies adapted quickly. They discovered that older weapons, simple projectiles, and unguided missiles sometimes passed through the alien shields designed to stop energy weapons. Anderson watched from the emergency command bunker as reports came in. Yes, they were losing badly, but they were also learning. Every alien ship they managed to bring down provided valuable information. Every captured piece of technology was rushed to secret labs. Humanity was bloodied but not broken. After 48 hours of continuous assault, the alien attacks slowed. A new message came from the Galactic Council. "Your resistance is noted but futile. Surrender now, and your species will be preserved under our supervision. Refuse, and we will escalate our response." In the bunker, Anderson met with military leaders from around the world through encrypted channels that survived the attack. The Chinese general spoke first. "They think they've won. They expect us to bend knee." The Russian admiral nodded in agreement. "They don't understand humans very well." Anderson looked at the casualty reports. Millions dead, most major cities in ruins, global infrastructure in shambles. But underneath the ruins, in hardened bunkers and secret facilities, humanity's greatest minds were already at work. They had recovered alien technology. They had seen how it worked. And most importantly, they had seen that it could be destroyed. "Send our response," Anderson ordered. A simple message was transmitted. "The Earth accepts your declaration of war." Then they went dark. All remaining broadcasts ceased. Cities were evacuated. Military bases went silent. As far as the Galactic Council could tell, humanity had retreated to lick its wounds. They couldn't have been more wrong. Deep underground, in protected facilities across the globe, Operation Nemesis began. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had wounded humanity but hadn't killed it. Now they would learn why every species should fear a wounded animal, especially one with nuclear weapons and a burning desire for revenge. The real war was about to begin. 3 months after the attack, Earth appeared defeated from space. Cities lay in ruins, and the night side of the planet showed few lights. The Galactic Council's observation ships reported minimal activity. Their sensors detected only scattered groups of humans, mostly in rural areas, struggling to survive without modern technology. But appearances can be deceiving. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility known as the Nest, Dr. James Miller studied the holographic display of an alien engine. His team had been working nonstop since they recovered it from a downed ship. Dark circles under his eyes showed his exhaustion, but excitement lit up his face. "Look at this," he said to General Anderson, who had just arrived for the weekly briefing. "They're faster than light drives, don't work the way we expected. They don't bend space. They slip between dimensions, and we figured out how to track these slips." Anderson walked around the hologram. "Can we block them?" "Better." Miller grinned. "We can trap them. Once a ship enters slip space, we can lock it there. Imagine jumping between floors in an elevator, but getting stuck between floors forever." Similar breakthroughs were happening in hidden facilities worldwide. In underwater bases beneath the Pacific, engineers tested new weapons that combined human atomic technology with alien energy systems. Deep in the Australian outback, scientists perfected stealth systems that could hide entire armies from alien sensors. The Council's biggest mistake was leaving behind so much destroyed technology. They thought the wreckage was useless, but they didn't understand humanity's talent for learning from failure. Every broken piece told a story. Every destroyed system revealed its secrets to patient researchers. In an underground factory near the former site of Berlin, the first human-alien hybrid vehicles rolled off the production line. They looked like normal military trucks from the outside, but their engines could power a small city. Their armor could shrug off alien energy weapons. Most importantly, they could be built quickly using Earth's existing factories. The Council grew increasingly confident. Their spy ships reported no signs of organized resistance. Their analysts concluded that humans had regressed to a pre-industrial state in most areas. They reduced their invasion fleet, sending ships to deal with other matters across the galaxy. They didn't notice the new satellites humans launched. Tiny things that looked like space debris but carried powerful quantum computers. They didn't detect the construction of massive underground cities where millions of people now lived and worked. They never realized that humans had learned to mask their energy signatures. In a repurposed mine in South Africa, soldiers trained with new weapons. They learned to fight in powered armor reverse-engineered from alien technology. Combat robots, controlled by AI systems that could react faster than any alien computer, practiced complex battle maneuvers in vast underground chambers. 6 months, Anderson told the Global Defense Council during their secret meeting. Representatives from every major nation sat around a table deep underground. "In 6 months, we'll be ready." The Russian leader nodded. "Our space fleet is almost prepared. The aliens won't expect ships to launch from under the Siberian ice." "China's armies are in position," added their military chief. "Our people have adapted well to underground living. The aliens think we're hiding in fear. They don't realize we're preparing for war." But the most important project remained hidden from even most human leaders. In a facility under the Pacific Ocean, scientists worked on Project Mirror. They had discovered something in the alien technology, a flaw so basic, so fundamental, that the Council had never thought to protect against it. The aliens had used the same basic computer systems for thousands of years. They never upgraded because they thought their technology was perfect. This made them vulnerable. Human computer viruses, evolved over decades of cyber warfare, were completely unknown to alien systems. Dr. Miller's team had created a virus that could infect and control any Council technology. They called it Prometheus, the Fire Stealer. Once unleashed, it would turn the Council's weapons against them. As the 6th month approached, humanity was ready. Their forces were hidden. Their weapons were tested. Their plans were set. The Council's observers reported nothing unusual, just another quiet day on a defeated world. Tomorrow, the silence would end. Tomorrow, humanity would show the galaxy why you should never leave an enemy half-finished. The Council had sounded the wind. They were about to reap the whirlwind. The Galactic Council's annual gathering approached. On their capital world, representatives from 1,000 worlds prepared for the celebration of another successful year. Their massive meeting hall, built from crystal and light, floated above the clouds. None of them worried about the primitive humans anymore. That problem had been solved months ago. They were wrong. In Earth's orbit, a Council observation ship continued its routine patrol. Its crew barely paid attention to their sensors anymore. The same readings day after day. Scattered human settlements. Primitive power sources, no sign of advanced technology. The ship's captain yawned as he started another boring shift. He never saw the attack coming. The first sign something was wrong came when their engines died. Then their communications went dark. The captain tried emergency protocols, but nothing worked. On their screens, strange symbols appeared, human letters, forming words in English. Thank you for testing, Project Mirror. Goodbye. The ship's own systems turned against its crew. Emergency doors sealed shut. Life support switched off. Within minutes, the entire vessel was secured by human forces that seemed to appear from nowhere. This scene repeated across Earth's orbit. Council ships fell silent one by one, their crews helpless against weapons they never knew existed. Human ships, hidden beneath perfect stealth fields, emerged from secret space stations buried in asteroids and on the dark side of the moon. General Anderson watched from the bridge of humanity's first star carrier, the HFY Nemesis. The massive ship had been built in sections inside mountains and assembled in space during the last 6 months. Its hull combined human steel with alien alloys. Its weapons merged nuclear power with alien energy tech. Most importantly, it carried the deadliest weapon humans had ever created, the Prometheus virus. All Council orbital forces neutralized, reported Lieutenant Reed, now a full commander. No transmissions got out. As far as the Council knows, everything is normal. Anderson nodded. Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, hidden human fleets activated. They had built these ships in secret, testing them in the shadows of distant planets. Now over 1,000 vessels converged on Earth, each carrying troops and weapons that would have been impossible a year ago. The Council had taught humanity many lessons. The most important was this: never use technology your enemy can predict. Human scientists had taken alien tech and changed it in ways the Council never imagined. They combined old and new, digital and analog, creating systems that followed no rules the aliens understood. Sir, Reed called out, the Prometheus virus has finished mapping Council communications. We can see everything they're doing, but they can't see us. On the main screen, data streamed in from across the galaxy. The Council's defenses, their ship movements, their secret codes, all laid bare by human hackers who had spent months preparing for this moment. The Council's capital world gleamed in the light of its 3 suns. Ships from across the galaxy arrived for the annual gathering. Security was tight, but they watched for threats they understood. Their sensors looked for energy weapons, for standard drive signatures, for known attack patterns. They weren't looking for ships running in stealth mode developed by human gamers. They didn't watch for weapons guided by AI trained on human video games. They never thought to guard against computer viruses written by teenagers. Fleet reports ready, Reed announced. All ships in position. Anderson looked at the tactical display. Human forces had surrounded the Council's capital world using paths their sensors couldn't detect. Their ships hid in plain sight, masked by technology that merged human stealth bombers with alien cloaking devices. "Send the message," Anderson ordered. Across the Council Capitol, on every screen and communications device, the same video played. It showed the Council's attack on Earth, but from the ground. The devastation of cities. The death of millions. Then it showed something else. How humanity had risen from the ashes, stronger and more dangerous than ever. The message ended with simple words. "You should have made sure we were dead." As panic spread through the Council's ranks, human ships decloaked. The Prometheus virus had already infected their defense systems. Their weapons wouldn't fire. Their shields wouldn't activate. Their ships couldn't move. The Council was about to learn why every human child knows this story. Never hit someone unless you're sure they won't get back up. Earth's revenge had begun. Chaos erupted in the Council's Crystal Palace. Alarms blared as human ships appeared in restricted airspace. Council leaders rushed to emergency bunkers, but found the doors wouldn't open. Their own security systems had turned against them. Inside the HS Nemesis, General Anderson watched the panic unfold. "Begin landing operations," he ordered. "Remember, capture, don't kill. We want them to stand trial for their crimes." Across the capital city, human drop pods pierced the atmosphere. Each contained 4 soldiers in powered armor that made them look like walking tanks. The armor, painted matte black with the Earth's flag on the shoulder, combined human strength with alien technology. The Council's elite guards tried to fight back. Their energy weapons fired, but did nothing. Human scientists had studied those weapons for months and developed perfect defenses. Meanwhile, human weapons, simple bullets enhanced with alien tech, cut through Council armor like paper. "Team Alpha, secure the main chamber," Anderson commanded through the tactical network. "Team Beta, find their data centers. Team Charlie, locate and capture Council leadership." Commander Reed coordinated the attack from her station. "Sir, our ground forces report minimal resistance. The Prometheus virus has shut down most of their weapons. Their soldiers are surrendering." On the ground, the scene was almost comical. Council forces, used to relying on advanced technology, found themselves helpless. Their weapons didn't work. Their communications were dead. Their automated defense systems turned on them. Meanwhile, human soldiers moved with perfect coordination, their tactics refined by centuries of fighting other humans. "Please," a Council guard begged as human forces entered the main chamber. "We were just following orders." The human surgeon looked down at him through her visor. "So were we," she replied, securing his hands with simple metal handcuffs, something the Council had never thought to defend against. In the Council's secure bunker, the High Commander stared in disbelief at dead screens. "How?" he asked nobody in particular. How did they do this? They were primitive, defeated. The bunker door exploded inward. Human soldiers entered, their armor making them look like giants. Behind them walked General Anderson himself, his simple military uniform a stark contrast to the Council leader's ornate robes. "Primitive." Anderson's voice was calm. "No, we just think differently than you. You've used the same technology for thousands of years. You forgot how to innovate, how to adapt." He picked up a piece of alien tech from a nearby table. "You forgot that the most dangerous weapon isn't technology. It's the mind that uses it." The High Commander's shoulders slumped. "What do you want?" "Justice," Anderson replied. "We found your records. Earth wasn't your first victim. For thousands of years, you've been attacking and suppressing younger species, keeping them down so they couldn't challenge your power. That ends today." Outside, more human ships arrived. Some carried soldiers. Others brought reporters, witnesses, and representatives from other species the Council had oppressed. The galaxy would see everything. Commander Reed's voice came through Anderson's communicator. "Sir, all primary objectives secured. Council leadership captured. Defense systems neutralized. Civilian casualties, 0. Anderson nodded. This was why they had spent months planning, training, and preparing. not for revenge alone, but for justice. Not just to punish, but to protect. In orbit, the HSS Nemesis transmitted a message to every world in Council space. The Galactic Council has fallen. Their leaders will face trial for crimes against countless species. To all races they oppressed, you are now free. Earth stands ready to help you rebuild. Responses flooded in from hundreds of worlds. Many had suffered under Council rule. Some had been bombed into submission like Earth. Others had been denied technology, kept weak and dependent. All of them had waited for this day. The High Commander watched as human soldiers began collecting evidence. "You could have just destroyed us," he said quietly. "Why didn't you?" Anderson turned to him. "Because that's what you would have done. We're better than that. You tried to teach us a lesson about power. Instead, we're going to teach you one about justice." As the sun set on the Council capital, a new era began. Humanity had not just survived, they had changed the galaxy forever. And they had done it not through pure destruction, but through a combination of strength and mercy that the Council had never understood. The message was clear: never underestimate humans, not just for their power, but for their capacity to use that power wisely. The trial began 1 week after the Council's capture. Unlike the Council's Grand Crystal Palace, humans chose a simple courtroom made of steel and glass. Representatives from over 500 species filled the seats. Many had traveled for weeks to witness this historic moment. Dr. Miller stood before the gathered aliens, his hand steady as he connected his computer to the display system. "What you're about to see," he announced, "was recovered from the Council's secret archives. They tried to delete it, but they didn't understand how human data recovery works." The screens lit up. Images flashed across them. Peaceful worlds burning. Species being bombarded into submission. Civilizations falling. The Council had been doing this for thousands of years. Every time a species grew too quickly, developed too fast, or showed too much promise, the Council would strike. Over 10,000 species, Miller continued, pointing to the data. 10,000 civilizations cut down before they could reach their potential. All because the Council feared competition. In the defendant's box, the Council leaders shifted uncomfortably. Their fine robes had been replaced with simple prison uniforms. Without their technology and power, they looked old and tired. General Anderson took the stand next. "We found their master plan," he said, bringing up new images. "Earth wasn't chosen randomly. We were targeted because their AI predicted we would achieve faster than light travel within 50 years. They wanted to stop us before we could join the galactic community." Gasps filled the courtroom. Many species had similar stories. The Council had attacked them just as they were about to make major breakthroughs. Some had lost decades of progress. Others had been bombed back to Stone Age technology. Commander Reed presented the military evidence. The Council kept detailed records of every attack, she explained, showing battle plans and after-action reports. They were proud of their work. They called it pruning the galaxy, keeping younger species from growing too powerful. But the most damaging evidence came from the Council's own genetic research labs. Dr. Miller returned to present these findings. "They were playing God," he said, bringing up DNA sequences. "The Council didn't just attack developing worlds. They actively modified species to keep them weak. They engineered genetic flaws, introduced diseases, created artificial limits on intelligence and technology." The audience erupted in anger. Species that had struggled with mysterious genetic diseases now knew why. Civilizations that had hit unexplainable technological barriers understood their true cause. One alien stood up, his scales glowing with emotion. "Our people have been trying to cure a genetic disease for centuries," he said. "Are you saying the Council created it?" Miller nodded. "They created many such diseases. But we found the cure for yours, and many others. Earth's medical technology, combined with the Council's research, can undo what they did." Hope spread through the courtroom. Species that had been enemies realized they had been manipulated by the Council. Ancient rivals discovered their conflicts had been engineered to keep them weak and divided. Anderson took the stage again. "We're not here just to punish the Council," he announced. "We're here to heal what they broke. Earth offers its help to any species that wants it. Together, we can rebuild what the Council destroyed." The Council's High Commander finally spoke. "You don't understand," he croaked. "We did this for the greater good. Without control, the galaxy would fall into chaos." "No," Anderson replied. "You did it for power. Real leadership means helping others grow, not keeping them down. Earth learned that lesson centuries ago." As proof of humanity's intentions, Anderson revealed their final discovery. The Council didn't just suppress technology, he explained. They've hoarded it. We found their secret archives, medical cures, clean energy systems, faster than light drives that make current ships look slow. Starting today, this knowledge belongs to everyone. The courtroom erupted in cheers. Species that had been enemies for centuries began talking, sharing stories, realizing how they had been manipulated. The Council's power hadn't just been in their weapons, it had been in keeping everyone else divided and weak. But that age was over. As the trial concluded, a new alliance was forming, not built on fear and control like the Council's rule, but on cooperation and mutual growth. Earth had not just defeated the Council, they had shown the galaxy a better way. The age of suppression was ending. The age of cooperation was about to begin. 1 month after the trial, the galaxy erupted in revolution. With the Council's crimes exposed and their power broken, centuries of suppressed anger finally boiled over. But this wasn't a simple rebellion. It was a carefully planned operation, guided by Earth's military experience. General Anderson stood in the new command center on Mars, watching as reports came in from across the galaxy. Hundreds of former Council strongholds were being liberated, not by Earth's forces alone, but by combined fleets of newly allied species. "Another success from the Orient sector," Commander Reed reported. "The lizard-like Draconians have taken control of the Council's prison planet. They found thousands of their people in suspended animation. Political prisoners the Council wanted everyone to forget." Similar stories poured in from every corner of space. The Council had hidden facilities everywhere, each one holding dark secrets. But now, with Earth's virus controlling their systems and human tactical knowledge guiding the rebels, these fortresses fell one by one. "Look at this," Dr. Miller called out, pointing to his screen. The insectoid hives of the 7th Spiral just breached a Council research lab. They found proof that the Council deliberately caused their queens to produce fewer workers, keeping their population small. But it wasn't just military victories that marked this revolution. Earth had learned from human history. Real change needed more than just force. In the medical sector of the Mars base, human doctors worked alongside alien healers. They shared knowledge, combining Earth's innovative medical techniques with recovered Council technology. Genetic diseases that had plagued species for generations began to find cures. "The bird-like erosions can fly again," one doctor reported excitedly. "We fixed the genetic damage the Council did to their wings. They're reclaiming their cities in the gas giants right now." Anderson walked through the diplomatic wing, where representatives from hundreds of species worked together. Former enemies, manipulated by the Council into fighting each other, now discovered they had more in common than they thought. The water-dwelling Oceanic League and the mountain-dwelling Ridge clans just signed a peace treaty, a diplomatic officer announced. They realized the Council had been secretly supporting both sides of their war for centuries. But not everything went smoothly. Some Council loyalists fought back. Hidden fleets and secret armies emerged from deep space, trying to maintain their power. Yet they found themselves facing something unprecedented: a united galaxy. "Council loyalist fleet detected in Sector 7, Reed called out. Anderson rushed to the tactical display. But before he could order Earth ships to respond, something amazing happened. 5 different species, all former enemies, coordinated their fleets in a perfect attack pattern. They had learned from Earth's military advisors, combining their different strengths. The Council ships, still fighting with their old, predictable tactics, didn't stand a chance. "Now that's teamwork," Anderson smiled. "They don't need us to hold their hands anymore." In the technology sector, Dr. Miller supervised as recovered Council databases were shared freely. Species that had been denied basic technological advancement for centuries finally had access to everything from clean energy to space travel. The desert tribes of Kepler 186 have just launched their first starship, Miller reported. They used Council engines combined with human AI guidance systems. The Council told them they'd never be advanced enough for space travel. But the most dramatic change was happening on the thousands of worlds the Council had suppressed. As their artificial limitations were removed, as their stolen technology was returned, as their engineered diseases were cured, these civilizations began to flourish. The gray-skinned people of the Carina Nebula regained their natural ability to photosynthesize light. The crystal beings of the Pleiades cluster relearned how to communicate through light waves. The nomadic tribes of the Outer Rim discovered they could activate the ancient terraforming machines the Council had disabled. Anderson stood at the window of the Mars base, watching ships from 100 worlds flash past. Each carried aid, technology, or helpers to formerly oppressed worlds. Earth ships flew among them, not as conquerors or leaders, but as equals. "The Council feared chaos," he said to Reed, who stood beside him. "Instead, they created the very thing they feared by holding everyone down." Sometimes, the best way to prevent chaos isn't control. It's giving people the freedom to work together. The revolution wasn't just destroying the old order. It was building something new, something better. And it was happening not through force alone, but through cooperation, healing, and hope. The galaxy was healing itself, one liberated world at a time. 1 year after the Council's fall, representatives from every known species gathered on Earth. The meeting place wasn't in a grand palace or floating citadel, but in a simple, circular building made of glass and steel in Geneva. This was where the new Galactic Alliance would be born. General Anderson, now Admiral Anderson, stood at the podium. Gray touched his temples now, but his eyes remained sharp. Before him sat delegates from over 10,000 species, former enemies and victims of the Council, now united in purpose. 1 year ago, he began, Earth was attacked. The Council thought they could crush us like they had crushed so many others. Instead, they taught us the most important lesson in galactic history. True strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. Dr. Miller presented the final results of their research. The screens behind him showed stunning statistics. In just 1 year, over 5,000 species had regained lost abilities the Council had suppressed. 3,000 worlds had launched their first starships. 2,000 genetic diseases had been cured. But our most important discovery came last week, Miller announced, bringing up a new display. We finally decoded the oldest files in the Council's database. We found out why they were so afraid of rapid development, why they worked so hard to keep everyone weak. The room fell silent as the ancient images appeared. They showed a species that looked surprisingly like humans, but far more advanced. These were the predecessors, the ones who had seeded the galaxy with life billions of years ago. The Council wasn't the first galactic civilization, Miller explained. The predecessors came first. They created most of us, including humans and many of you, as experiments in evolution. But they made one species too aggressive, too controlling. That species eventually became the Council. Commander Reed, now Fleet Admiral Reed, stepped forward. The Council knew this truth, that they were just another created species. They feared that if other species developed too quickly, they might find this out. Their entire empire was built on hiding their own humble origins. The revelation sent ripples through the audience. The mighty Council, who had claimed authority over all life, were themselves just another experiment, no more special than anyone else. But the next announcement caused even more excitement. Using recovered Council technology and Earth's quantum computers, Miller continued, We've located the predecessor's home system. They're not extinct, as the Council claimed. They're in suspended animation, waiting for the galaxy to mature enough for their return. Anderson raised his hand for quiet as the chamber erupted in discussion. "We're not going to wake them yet," he announced. "That decision belongs to all of us together, when we're ready. The age of one species making decisions for everyone is over." The new Galactic Alliance was built on different principles than the Council's empire. Every species got a vote, regardless of their technology level. Knowledge was shared freely. Development was encouraged, not suppressed. Military power was defensive, not controlling. "Earth doesn't want to rule," Anderson explained. "We've had enough empires in our own history to know they don't work. Instead, we offer partnership. Our technology, our innovations, our way of thinking, they're all yours to share. And we want to learn from you too." As if to prove his point, the next speaker was a being that would have terrified humans a year ago. A giant, crystalline entity that communicated through light pulses. Thanks to Council records, they now knew this species had once been masters of dimensional physics before being bombed back to the Stone Age. Together, the crystal being's translator spoke. "We are already achieving what the Council feared. Not chaos, but harmony. Not weakness, but shared strength." The final vote was unanimous. The Galactic Alliance was born, with Earth as just one member among many. The Council's old palace was turned into a museum and library, open to all. Their prison worlds became universities. Their weapons platforms were converted to research stations. As the ceremony ended, Anderson looked out at the countless alien faces. A year ago, humans had thought they were alone in the universe. Then they thought they were under attack by an invincible enemy. Now they were part of something greater than either fear or revenge. They were part of a family that stretched across the stars. "The Council wanted to write the end of our story," Anderson said softly. "Instead, they only wrote their own. Our real story is just beginning." Above Earth, ships from 1,000 worlds lit up the night sky with patterns of peace and celebration. The galaxy had entered a new age, and this time, nobody would face the darkness alone.